Hey guys, welcome back to Ollie Talks Airsoft. Today I'm going to be talking about my Tokyo Marui MP7, which came out at the weekend. So this gun actually had a few problems, and it's not a gun that I've ever had issues with before, other than when I put in a creation nozzle and a creation recoil spring, and the nozzle broke, and so both of those things are out. So internally, this is a completely stock Tokyo Marui MP7, and what makes this story a bit weird is that someone else that has a Tokyo Marui MP7 also had exactly the same problem that I had on the day. Super weird, but I've tried to recreate the problem and I've just not been able to do it. Let's see if we can recreate that problem. So these shots like coming back. I'm shooting against my plate carrier, so it's used to getting shot. Okay, so didn't hold back there, but it's still functioning normally. Okay, that time I held back. There's only a few in this one, so and it held back again. I really don't know. And ultimately, I solved the problem in the same way that this other chap solved the problem, which is basically just by spraying in a little bit of silicone, just silicone spray, and it certainly seemed like it was either the nozzle not being sufficiently lubed, because it just basically didn't want to return. So the normal function of an MP7 would be the bolt will go backwards and the nozzle will stay forward. That's good because it's getting a really good air seal. But when the bolt gets to the very back, that nozzle will retract, like so, and it retracts straight backwards into the main bolt part. So what was actually happening is the bolt was retracting, but the nozzle was staying forward, and it was then, you could see it very slowly kind of retracting backwards. Now this was odd, so I've not seen it before, and if you were to pull the bolt back and let go of it, it would actually get caught on the nozzle, and it would be really slow to push in. And because you don't have anything like a forward assist on an MP7, it meant that the gun essentially wouldn't fire because the bolt was here somewhere, the nozzle was forward, and you just had a completely dead trigger, like nothing was going on. So my first thought was, well, firstly, maybe it's just dirty and it needs a lube, and to be honest, that's probably what it was. I was surprised that the other guy had it because his MP7 was a lot newer, but nevertheless, we both had the same problem, and we both just sprayed some lube into the nozzle and it fixed it. So the other thing that I was thinking it could have been was the nozzle return spring. So what I thought I would do is, to make it a bit more interesting, is just show you how you take the bolt carrier group and everything out of the MP7. Just so for future reference, you know what might go wrong, and like just basically just how you can just get in there. So it's not going to be long, it's just going to be quite quick. So you've got two pins at the back here, and you just need to push them through from one side and then just give them a little tug. If you've got even the smallest nails, you can do it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull. This is not how you do it, by the way. I'm going to pull the trigger, and when you do that, like nothing really wants to come out. Like the best way to do it is to have the gun cocked, and then everything will just slide out. So you saw how it kind of all just popped there. That's not how it's supposed to come. So let me just do it again, but properly, so you can see the way that you should be doing it, not the way that I just did. Right, so jam all that back in together. So when it's like that, you would cock the gun And when the gun is cocked, all of these parts will just pop out the back and you can just slowly remove them. And there you go. It all just comes out as one piece. That's what I wanted to show you, not the kind of like yank it all out kind of way. So this basically, what I pulled out here is it's a few parts, but ultimately it's 3 parts. So this is the end plate, like the rear plate for the MP7. You've then got the recoil spring, and you've then got the bolt carrier with the guide and the nozzle, and that's it. Like it's pretty simple, really. So the way that they've made this is, you'll notice that it's kind of flat on the bottom and it's kind of like an archway shape. Well, that's exactly the same as this piece. So look, they slip really easily into one another. And it looks like there's 2 holes on here, but actually only the top one is a hole, because the one below is a screw. So it goes in there, and there's a little nub on the end here that just kind of rests and sits in the bolt carrier group. That's why when you pull this backwards, it's just literally grabbing into the top of the here and just yanking it back. And that's all that's happening. So in order to take this apart, you need to remove this screw here. This is like an Allen key screw. And you would also need to, and this part will then just slide off the front. You then need to remove this screw here, and just keep your finger on here and remove this little piece. It'll want to pop out because it's under spring tension. So the reason that the nozzle returns like this is because there is actually a spring that runs all the way behind here, and that's what's connected to the nozzle. That's why it's going shooting backwards, and that's what it needs to be doing. What it was doing was kind of getting stuck like around here, and so I thought maybe there could be some dirt or debris that's got caught in there. It's unlikely, but there could be. No, there wasn't anything. It wasn't. It also wasn't overextending or anything like that, because it literally can't. There's a. It's quite hard to see, but there is actually a piece. You can kind of see it there. Basically, there's a trough there, and there's a piece on the top of the nozzle, so it literally can't overextend itself. So yeah, it's really easy to take apart. Take that screw out, take this piece off, this will slide forward and the spring will come out. Remove this piece and the whole nozzle will come out. And all of the nozzle internal parts are kind of held together, so that there is a, I think it's a screw just going through. I've not bothered taking it out. Every time that I've replaced, well, the last time I replaced the nozzle was almost 2 years ago, so like 1.5 years ago, something like that. So it's been a long time, but it's not a complicated process. I'm not the smartest guy, but this is a relatively simple system. You will also notice that this probably looks a little bit different to your one, because I just polished the sides. That was just to get a slightly faster bolt return, just trying to increase the rate of fire a tiny bit. It didn't really make much of a difference, to be honest. Yeah, it wasn't really worth it. But never mind. I thought, to be honest, with this and the Creation recoil spring, it did increase the rate of fire, but it then broke the Creation nozzle, and so I was like, well, don't really want to have something in there that's just going to be like constantly breaking parts. So it all just came out. I just went back to stock, and just, obviously you can't unpolish a bolt once you've done it. But I did leave the main part black, which is the bit that you can actually see through there. So yeah, that's basically how you take it apart. And I basically just sprayed a little bit of lube in this, cleaned it up with a bit of toilet paper. My favourite little trick of making the corners and just like running it down all of those runners and stuff. Yeah, it worked a treat. It was filthy, like it was very, very dirty. Other than that, I sprayed a little bit of silicone into the trigger group as well. Just, you know, general maintenance in it. Just give it a little squirt. But this is the main bit, you know. This is the moving part. This is what's going to be going back and forward. So just running some lube roll around the inside. So it's actually like an inner frame that you get on one of these. Rogue System 087 does a really good video all about the MP7. It's probably worth looking at that, because that's the video that I would look to refer to. Anyway, let's get all this put back in. Spring to it. There we go. It kind of all wants to fit together anyway. It's quite a nice system for that. On the day, I had to turn the hop way down because the last time I took this out, it was shooting like 0.3s, and it had gone back to like shooting 0.2s. So big change for it. But yeah, it's on. I was like, why did the hammer drop? It was on auto. Yep, all functioning normally and correctly. Yeah, the MP7, the gun that breaks but then fixes itself, pretty much. Anyway, I hope you found this interesting, but until the next time, guys, take care.